I was homeless for 3 months while working at one of the top architecture firms in Australia, kind of like Will Smith in that movie, Pursuit of Happiness, just without the sun. If you're a student, designer, or entrepreneur, I'm going to share with you this story, and it's going to have a lot of value for you to actually take away. So I started out back in New Zealand's small country at a university, and I had literally zero work experience in any architecture firm or office. And I did pretty well in university. I share this a lot previously throughout my channel, but you can find ways to work your way up the university system and get yourself on top of the papers and kind of get these awards and high grades. So I did that during university, and then I decided just to search up top 10 architecture firms in Australia. I just sent my application out to like 3 of the firms, and lo and behold, I got the job. So I made the big decision just to get on the plane and move to a new country. Now this was big for me as I had never traveled by myself before or even really left my hometown. I was one of these people that grew up in a certain place, and I kind of just stayed there for, what was it, like 23, 24 years of my life. So then I arrived in Australia during the peak of the worst rental crisis, I think, throughout history. And I went straight into working at this tier 1 architecture firm. As I said, with zero prior experience in any big office or architecture firm. I literally was bouncing between Airbnb to Airbnb every like 2 to 3 days to save costs. I can remember I would come to my job and I would have all my possessions just in 2 bags, like on my shoulders, because I had to transfer between different Airbnbs every few days. I'd come into the office working those long hours, trying to keep up with everything that's going on. And coming as a student straight to a tier 1 firm is a lot already. And then after each day, I had to grab all my possessions and a walk. And then I even ended up walking through dodgy neighborhoods, because choose an Airbnb to save cost, you have to go somewhere way out west. I just remember carrying my possessions on the train, just all my bags, my clothes, and my laptop. And it got so bad to the point I just couldn't find anywhere to live. And Airbnb was still pretty expensive at that time, even though I was going for the absolute cheapest ones I could find. It was getting to the point where I had to start looking at these emergency home shelters or sleeping capsule shelters, all while simultaneously coming in every day and working at this tier 1 architecture firm. I didn't really take many photos. I think I have a couple of videos or photos here of some of the places I stayed or where I was going. I wasn't really aware. When you go through something hard at the time and you're not really aware that you're going through something hard, it was kind of like that. I didn't really take any photos or videos of what I was going through. I truly felt like Will Smith and his son, but in the movie, not the rich one. Not only all of that, I would have to do like multiple flat viewings and apartment inspections after work. So I'd literally be coming to work, going home, taking all my possessions to go to some flat viewing, and I'd go to like a rental property inspection, and there'd be literally 100 people just for some really shitty flat. Well, I think I have a video of some of the flat viewings here. Like, this is just how many people were trying to get even just an average apartment. I struggled for 3 months to find somewhere because I had 2 choices: either go into an apartment by myself, where these are extremely sought after and there's so many people trying to get one. Say it's listed for like $400, people would offer them literally $500 a week, $600 a week just for these really crappy apartments, or an existing flat, which is like a sublet situation. But honestly, there's just some really horrible living situations, and you meet some really strange people, honestly. Like, I even met this guy who had literally had the essence of Jeffrey Dahmer. He had like mannequins and piles of rubbish in the apartment. I just thought, man, I'd rather be homeless than live in a place like this. But eventually, I persisted for 3 months, just going into work, all my possessions, all my bags on my back, wheeling it around. I persisted for 3 months, and luckily I finally found somewhere and I moved into a place. What you can take away from this story is that you need to be able to perform even living in uncomfortable situations or being in discomfort, regardless of your circumstances, because this was my first time coming to this job at this big firm. I had to make it an impression that I was capable and able to do things, even though I had literally the night before done 3 flat inspections right after work. I traveled on some train to some dodgy neighborhood, walked with all my bags, only to go to the firm the next day and then get straight back into work. And the people at the firm, they're just going to judge you based on your work and how well you're doing. You can't really sit there and explain, let me start a bit later because I was up all night looking for places to live. You can't really say that. So you just have to learn how to perform under these extremely hard circumstances. But I really believe that this kind of voyage that I took really changed me as a person, going under this pressure of a whole new city and working and doing all this on my own. And I honestly didn't think the story was even a big deal. Like, I wasn't going to share this or anything until I did a architecture student mentoring session a couple weeks ago, and I told the story to a student, and he said, "Whoa, That's crazy, man. Like, I don't know anyone that would actually put themselves in that position for this. I don't. It seems crazy, and they were absolutely astounded by it. So I thought, well, this story must have some value then. So that's why I'm sharing it today. But I think this whole idea of taking a voyage or taking a journey to helping yourself grow as an architect or designer really can tie back to things in history. You think about ancient architects, you think of like Vitruvius or something, but sure, a lot of these great designers or great inventors and architects throughout history at some point took a big voyage, a big leap out of where their comfort zone was essentially, and this really just helps you to grow. And I think that a lot of things that are beautiful in this world come from suffering. So if you're a designer, a creator, and you want to create things that are beautiful, you just want to create essentially architecture is a form of art. So you want to create art that's worthy of being appreciated. And to do that, you need to go through some sort of suffering. You know, this is a perfect example of like ancient statue makers back in Roman times, where they would craft these beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning, perfect statues. You can probably guess that this person was not just comfortably sitting there, oh, I'll work on this a couple minutes, couple hours today, I'll do this here and there. No, they were probably absolutely dedicating themselves to this craft, suffering every day to get this perfect statue or perfect temple building or whatever they were creating. Or maybe even music artists. Some of these popular artists will go through tough experiences and then share it through the music, and then that kind of suffering that they went through is conveyed through their art, and that's what attracts people to their art. And design and architecture are no different, I believe. I think this next point will make a lot of people mad, but honestly, who cares? But I'm gonna talk about, have you ever seen artists on Instagram trying to share their art and promote their artwork that they've been creating, and you go through their profile and there's like hundreds and hundreds of pieces of art that they've created, and they do a lot of hard work and create a lot of content, but you can kind of just sit there and look at the art that they've created. You kind of just say, I know you've lived an easy life. Like, there's nothing unique or truly special about their art they're creating. It's more of just like, you can tell it's one of their little hobbies, and they're trying to promote it and they want people to look at it, and it's just like, it's simply just not special, and you can tell that they have lived comfortably. I know that's going to be quite a controversial opinion, but that's my true belief in suffering and art, and that all ties into architecture and design and entrepreneurship. So I hope that story has a lot of value for you to take, and if you are a young designer or entrepreneur, I truly believe that pushing yourself out of your comfort zone into suffering, into uncomfortable situations, you're going to get amazing stories to tell. You're going to grow as a person. You're going to learn how to navigate different situations. And when it comes to sitting down and creating art, your mind will be different, and you will have a different perspective on creation and what kind of suffering it takes in order to create. Because I'd never even worked at an architecture firm before, and I got the job just like that at a tier 1 firm with zero prior experience. So I'll just quickly say that I do have on my website, there is a section where I've taken all my knowledge on that, on how I actually applied and wrote the email, wrote my CV, wrote my portfolio, and I've shared all that information inside my program on the Architecture Elite. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. You don't have to, but I hope there was things that you could take away from that story and that it really helps you.